The venue isn't booked? What do you mean it isn't booked? I gripped my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. The restaurant manager's confused voice came through the speaker, echoing in my suddenly silent kitchen. I'm sorry, Miss Clark, but according to our system, your reservation was canceled last week. We've already booked another wedding for Saturday. Sweat broke out across my forehead as I stared at the wedding binder open on my counter, Cassidy Events logo prominently displayed on every meticulously organized page. 3 days. My wedding was in 3 days, and apparently I had no venue. There must be some mistake, I said, my voice unnaturally calm while my free hand shook. Melanie Cassidy confirmed everything last month. We met for coffee just 2 weeks ago to finalize the details. I have the signed contract right here. I'm sorry, but we haven't spoken with Miss Cassidy in weeks. The cancellation came directly from her office. Would you like to speak with our manager? I ended the call and immediately dialed Melanie's number. Straight to voicemail, just like the previous 6 calls today. I'd been trying to reach her since this morning to confirm final details. Breathe, Emily. There has to be an explanation. My fiancé Mark walked in, his smile fading the moment he saw my face. What's wrong? The venue says our wedding was canceled last week. The words felt surreal leaving my mouth. What? That's impossible. We paid $12,000. I cut him off, the number burning in my mind. Our entire savings, the down payment that was supposed to secure everything for our modest celebration, the intimate venue at Riverside Gardens, simple but elegant catering, seasonal flowers, photographer, and a friend's cousin as DJ. Not lavish, but perfect for the 65 guests we'd carefully selected for our special day. Let me try calling Melanie. Mark grabbed his phone and dialed. After a moment, he frowned. Voicemail. A terrible suspicion took root in my chest. I opened my laptop and typed Cassidy Events into the search bar. The website was gone. No. I whispered, clicking through other search results. Then I found it, a local Facebook group for the Austin area. A post from 2 days ago. Warning, has anyone else been scammed by Cassidy Events? Our wedding is this weekend, and we just found out nothing was booked. There were 17 comments, all from couples with the same story. The doorbell rang, making both of us jump. Mark went to answer it while I sat frozen, staring at the growing horror on my screen. Emily? Mark's voice sounded strange. Rachel's here. My bridesmaid Rachel stood in our living room, her face pale. I just got the strangest call from the florist. They said they tried to reach you but couldn't get through. They wanted to confirm that we canceled all the flower orders. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. We didn't cancel anything. Rachel pulled out her phone. I was worried, so I called the photographer too. Emily. He said the same thing. That Melanie's assistant contacted them last week to cancel. I felt the blood drain from my face. Melanie's assistant? She works alone. She always emphasized that she personally handled everything to ensure quality control. That's what I thought, Rachel said, biting her lip. Emily, I need to tell you something. The way I found Melanie, my cousin Thomas referred her, and he got a finder's fee. I thought it was just a normal referral program. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. A finder's fee? How much? Rachel looked at her feet. $300. And now I'm wondering. Thomas has been acting strange lately. I think he might have known something wasn't right. Mark's jaw tightened. Did Thomas find her, or did she approach him? Rachel's silence was answer enough. She approached him at a bar where he works. Offered him cash for every couple he sent her way. I think he suspected it was shady but didn't ask questions. My phone chimed with a notification. A credit card alert. $3,500 charge from Cassidy Luxury Rentals, processed just 20 minutes ago. She's still using our card, I whispered, showing them the screen. She's still stealing from us. My wedding was in 3 days. 65 guests had booked flights. My parents had already driven in from Dallas. And not a single thing we'd paid for actually existed. I grabbed my wedding binder and flipped to the back where I'd stored all the contracts and receipts. Each document had Melanie's elegant signature, her business stamp, detailed invoices showing deposits paid to actual vendors. She'd even forwarded confirmation emails that appeared to come directly from the venue and caterers, complete with their logos and staff signatures. I'd personally witnessed her making calls to vendors while we sat together at planning meetings. How could I have been so blind? I whispered, flipping through the meticulous paper trail. Everything looks so legitimate. Mark put his arm around me. Because she made sure it did. Look at these forged receipts. They have authentic-looking transaction numbers, vendor contact information, even customer service details. But none of it was real. Call your bank, Rachel said urgently. Report the fraud. Mark was already on the phone with his credit card company, his voice tense as he explained the situation. I sat down heavily, my mind racing. 3 days. Was it even possible to salvage this? My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered warily. Is this Emily Clark? A woman's voice asked. Yes, who's calling? My name is Jessica Wright. You don't know me, but I think we have the same problem. Melanie Cassidy. My heart raced. Yes, our wedding is this Saturday. There was a bitter laugh on the other end. Ours was supposed to be last weekend. I found 6 other couples so far. We're meeting tonight at Cornerstone Coffee on 5th Street at 7 o'clock. You should come. I looked up at Mark and Rachel, hope and determination beginning to replace the shock. We'll be there. The coffee shop was packed with angry, devastated couples. 10, not 6. All with the same story. Melanie Cassidy had taken their money, provided beautiful contracts, sent regular updates, and then vanished days before their weddings. The total amount stolen was staggering, over $100,000. She operated for at least 8 months, explained Jessica, who had emerged as the group's de facto leader. Her own wedding had been salvaged only through frantic last-minute DIY efforts. She built up reviews on wedding sites using fake accounts, developed a network of people like your friend's cousin who would refer her for cash, and created an illusion of legitimacy. How did no one catch on sooner? Mark asked. She was smart, said another victim, Brad. She'd actually make initial contacts with vendors, get their information, logos, contract templates. Then she'd create fake emails that looked like they came from them. Every confirmation you got was actually from her. And the money? I asked. Deposits were just enough to keep her in business, Jessica explained. The final payments, which most of us made in the last few weeks before our dates, that's when she cashed out. She hit at least 3 couples last weekend, then you this weekend, and probably had more lined up. Classic Ponzi scheme. I felt sick. Has anyone gone to the police? All of us, Brad's fiancé said grimly. They're investigating, but they said it might take months. They think she's already left the state. But it's not about catching her right now, Jessica said, leaning forward. It's about saving your wedding. When is it? Saturday, I whispered. 3 days from now. The group exchanged looks. Then Jessica smiled. Well then, we have work to do. That night became a war room session. Each couple shared what they'd learned in their scramble to salvage their own weddings. Backup vendors who could accommodate last-minute bookings. Ways to negotiate emergency rates. DIY alternatives for things we couldn't replace. My cousin Lily, an event planner in Houston, joined us via FaceTime, her professional contacts proving invaluable. She offered to drive up tomorrow to help coordinate everything. By midnight, we had the beginnings of a plan. Not the wedding I dreamed of, but a wedding nonetheless. But there was still one massive problem: the venue. Every suitable place in Austin was booked solid on a Saturday in June. What about your parents' backyard? Rachel suggested as we walked to our cars. I shook my head. They're in a hotel. They sold their house last year, remember? Mark rubbed his eyes, exhaustion evident on his face. Maybe we should postpone. The thought made my chest tighten. Everyone had already arranged their lives around this date. My grandmother had traveled from Florida, her first flight in 15 years. My best friend was 8 months pregnant and had been cleared to fly just for this weekend. No, I said firmly. We're getting married on Saturday. We'll figure something out. The next morning, I called every venue in Austin, then expanded to the surrounding areas. Nothing was available. We'd even considered public parks, but they required permits weeks in advance. I was sitting on our porch, scrolling through my phone in desperation, when our neighbor Mr. Branson walked over from next door. "Morning, Emily. You look troubled." I'd always liked our elderly neighbor, a retired history professor who kept his Victorian home in immaculate condition. Before I knew it, I was pouring out the whole story. He listened thoughtfully, then said, "You know, my late wife and I used to host garden parties for the university faculty. Our backyard can hold 100 people easily." I stared at him. "Mr. Branson, are you offering your yard for our wedding?" He smiled. "The garden's in full bloom right now. Would be a shame for no one to enjoy it. And the house has historical designation, makes for good photographs." Tears sprang to my eyes as I hugged him impulsively. "You're saving our wedding." "Nonsense," he said, patting my back. "Just being neighborly." The next 48 hours were a blur of frantic activity. Mark and I contacted all our guests with the change of venue. Jessica's group chat became our lifeline, with other scam victims offering contacts and advice. My cousin Lily arrived and took over coordination with military precision. Rachel's guilt over her unwitting role in the scam made her double her efforts. She found a local catering company that had a last-minute cancellation and negotiated a discount. Mark's brother, a hobbyist photographer, volunteered to shoot the ceremony, while a friend of Jessica's who worked professionally agreed to cover the reception at a reduced rate. Instead of the fancy wedding cake we'd ordered, my mother and aunt spent Friday baking and assembling a homemade tiered masterpiece. The rental company delivered chairs and tables to Mr. Branson's yard. Friends and family strung lights in the trees and arranged borrowed centerpieces. It wasn't the wedding we'd planned. It was taking shape as something entirely different, something cobbled together from crisis and community. Friday night, as we finished the impromptu rehearsal in Mr. Branson's garden, I pulled Rachel aside. "I need to show you something," I said, leading her to my car. I opened the trunk to reveal a stack of documents in a folder labeled Cassidy Fraud. "What is this?" she asked. "Everything we've gathered on Melanie. Bank statements, fake contracts, vendor communications. Jessica and the others contributed their evidence too." I looked her in the eye. "We may not be able to get our money back, but we can make sure she can't do this to anyone else." Rachel nodded, determination replacing the guilt that had shadowed her face for days. "I'll make sure Thomas sees this too. He feels terrible about his role." "He should," I said firmly. "I want to talk to him too." He knew something was off, but took the money anyway. "But right now, I need one more favor." Saturday morning arrived with perfect June weather. The crisis had left no time for pre-wedding jitters, only the steady focus of execution. I was getting ready in Mr. Branson's guest room when Rachel arrived, looking nervous but excited. "It's done," she said. Thomas came clean about everything. Turns out he referred 3 other couples to Melanie, knowing something wasn't right. He's been contacting them all and went with me to every wedding vendor in town. We showed them Melanie's photo and all the evidence. They're spreading the word through the industry. She won't be able to pull this scam in Austin again. I hugged her. "Thank you." "There's something else," she added, pulling out her phone. Jessica called. The detective got a lead on Melanie. They think she's in Houston, probably setting up to run the same scam there. "They'll catch her," I said with certainty. "With the evidence from 10 weddings, she'll face serious charges." A knock at the door interrupted us. Lily peeked in. "It's time, Em." The garden was transformed. Sunlight filtered through the oak trees, casting dappled shadows on the assembled guests. White chairs lined a path through blooming hydrangeas and roses. Mr. Branson sat in the front row, beaming with pride at his garden's new purpose. Mark waited under an arch of borrowed flowers, his eyes finding mine as the improvised string quartet began to play. My father squeezed my arm as we began to walk. None of it was as we'd planned. The flowers weren't the precise shades I'd selected. The food wouldn't match our carefully curated menu. The photographer wasn't the award winner we'd researched. But looking at the faces of our loved ones, many of whom had spent the last 2 days helping us rebuild this wedding from scratch, I realized something important. This was better. This wedding told our real story, not just of love, but of resilience, of community rising up when disaster struck, of strangers becoming allies against a common enemy. As I reached Mark and took his hands, I knew that we'd already faced our first major crisis as a couple, and we'd done it together. "You look beautiful," he whispered. "Not exactly what we planned, huh?" I smiled. "No, it's more real." The ceremony was brief but meaningful. When we were pronounced husband and wife, the cheer that went up wasn't just for our marriage, it was for the victory we'd all achieved together. At the reception, set up on Mr. Branson's patio, Jessica raised her glass for a toast. To Emily and Mark, who turned disaster into triumph. "May your marriage be as resilient as your wedding planning." Everyone laughed. The catered food was delicious, the homemade cake surprisingly professional, and the borrowed decorations charming in their eclectic way. Later that evening, as string lights twinkled above the makeshift dance floor, my phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. "Update from the detective. They've tracked Melanie to Houston. She's already setting up new clients there. Our evidence is crucial, and they're building the case. They expect to make an arrest within a week or 2. I showed Mark, and we shared a determined smile. "Not immediate justice, but it's coming," he said. And in the meantime, we didn't let her ruin today. A week after our honeymoon, we got the call we'd been waiting for. Melanie had been arrested while meeting with prospective clients in Houston. Our documentation had been instrumental in building the case against her. As we danced under the stars in our neighbor's garden, surrounded by the people who had rallied to save our day, I realized that we'd gotten something precious from this disaster, a wedding that truly reflected the meaning of marriage. Not the perfect party, but the messy, beautiful reality of facing challenges together. And a story we'd be telling for the rest of our lives. Would you have postponed the wedding or pushed forward like we did? And what would you have done if you were in our shoes about the wedding planner who disappeared with $12,000?